Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Harvest Moon Light of Hope Special Edition, played on PlayStation 4 for the review, also available on Nintendo Switch. The Special Edition is a physical release of the 2017 game originally released on PC. The Harvest Moon series can actually be a little confusing to keep straight. Victor Interactive Software was the original developer of the original Harvest Moon series, with Natsume Publishing, which dates all the way back to the Super Nintendo days, released in the US in 1997. Victor Interactive went through some merging and acquisition and eventually became a part of Marvelous Entertainment as it's known today. Marvelous decided to switch to their American distributor in 2014, which is Xseed Games. But with publisher Natsume owning the rights to the Harvest Moon name, Marvelous decided to continue developing games using the name Story of Seasons. Once that publisher switch happened, Natsume decided to continue to develop titles under the Harvest Moon name, most of which seemed to be developed by Tablet Inc. Now, if you're not familiar with the Harvest Moon series, it's probably best described as a fantasy simulation. Only slightly dabbled in the series before, but when I have, it seems your avatar arrives at a previously flourishing destination that is deteriorated with the goal of restoring growth. In Light of Hope, destination is an island recently destroyed by a storm that knocked out its magical lighthouse. The nearby town and the land you claim are both in disrepair. You can set about fixing it up by growing crops, harvesting resources, and raising livestock. Each of the 4 seasons lasts 30 days, and you start in spring. Minutes pass by on the 2nd, and you get up every day at 6 a.m., and if you want full strength for the next day, you have to be back in your farmhouse and in bed by midnight. Your stamina is a set of 5 hearts that decrease gradually for each action you take, whether that's hoeing the ground, planting seeds in that ground, watering it, harvesting it, chopping down a tree, breaking a rock, feeding and grooming your animals, etc. Your starting farm has quite a bit of land around it for crops, but you can eventually expand the map throughout the main quest and repairing bridges, giving you access to other plots of land with different kinds of soil. Crops take anywhere from 4 to I think 12 days was the max range I saw, and it ranges from cabbages and carrots to corn and carnations. You have to water your crops every day to keep them growing, sometimes throwing on fertilizer, especially for those out-of-season crops to help production. Fertilized crops also have a chance of producing a mutated or great version of the product, and mutated versions, when sold enough to vendors, will enable you to buy seeds to immediately plant those. Fishing can take place in most bodies of water once you obtain the rod. When obtained, you can go to a body of water and a square will appear on it, showing you where you're going to cast. Once it hits the water, fish outlines will often appear, and after an amount of time, something will most likely bite it. Using bait can speed up the biting process. Fish can be used to make fertilizer and also cooked with the proper recipe. Raising livestock requires you to repair your facilities, then purchase an animal once the animal shop has been repaired as well. Your animals have a meter showing how loved they are, and that is increased by petting it and making sure it has food every day. Sometimes animals can also get dirty, so you'll be scrubbing them when you click on them sometimes as well. Feed can be made from a variety of ingredients, but for the most part, you'll want to make sure you have plenty of corn to put in your repaired windmill to make the feed. Cows can be milked, sheep and donkeys sheared, and chicken eggs can be gathered. A horse can also be purchased and ridden for faster travel. You can eventually gain access to a mine where you use a hammer and break mineral deposits for random chances at materials. The mine consists of 100 levels, and you reach deeper and deeper by hoeing the level until you find a hidden ladder. You can enter the mine again in multiples of 5, so if you have enough stamina to dig at level 6, instead of starting at 1 again next time, you can jump right in there. Each set of levels contains a chance for more and more precious and advanced materials. You can take what you find to the blacksmith, and he can polish precious gem ores for you to sell, and take metal ores and make them into construction materials for you to do your repairs. Finally, you can also cook in your house. Once the restaurant is repaired, you can purchase various recipes and use ingredients you grow, catch, or buy to make meals. Meals can be consumed to restore your stamina heart in a day to help you keep chugging along. So while that's the basis of your activities in Harvest Moon, it's definitely a bit more enjoyable to at least have a purpose in what you're raising. This is where the main and side quests come in. Main quests will often have you talking to various people as you work on replacing the stone tablets around the magic lighthouse, but similar to side quests, both of these will require specific crops to be grown, materials gathered, or products crafted. While the main quest obviously progresses the story, the side quests reward you with new and different seeds, rare cooking recipes, or other random materials and money. While performing these quests, the meter showing how much people like you will increase, enabling you to go out on dates for festivals, and even get married and have a child. There are other events that occur throughout the year, including cooking contests, dog races, and fishing competitions. NPCs will usually stop by your house and let you know as these things approach. One of your main focuses will likely be raising funds. Money is used to buy more seeds, and for some reason it's always needed when you're repairing things. It's also good when used in conjunction with materials to upgrade your tools. The hoe, the watering can, hammer, axe, and fishing pole, as well as upgrading your facilities, your house, barn, and chicken coop. I finished the main set of quests at the very beginning of fall, going through only 2 seasons, which honestly was kind of a disappointment. I mean, more stuff opens up post-game, and the Platinum Trophy requires you to grow every variation of every crop, catch every fish, mine every ore, and cook every recipe, and the side quests are paced through daily mail, so even when you're done, more things to do keep coming up. Most quests, though, are turning in 1 to 5 of a specific crop or processed ore, so basically once you open up some house storage and store a few of everything you get, you'll instantly be able to finish most quests. There is a multiplayer mode of sorts, as in a fairy can be found in the mines that will hang out at your house. A second controller can be used to control it with 2 hearts full of stamina. The fairy will hoe in a 3x3 pattern and also waters in a 3x3. She will magically produce random seeds when an action is performed on hoed ground, and it'll even create fertilizer. So early game, before your tools are upgraded especially, it's very helpful. But I grow my crops pretty particularly, and the second player is very limited as to how close they can get to the edge of the screen without being warped back to the player. So I don't quite see how this can be enticing enough for a second player to join you. But if I didn't use those base 2 hearts daily, kind of felt like I wasn't using my resources properly. So I often used up the fairy's hearts, specifically when working my way through the mine, hoeing 9 squares at a time. But yeah, that just left the multiplayer feeling necessary for single player, but I can't imagine ever wanting to join someone else that's playing this game and perform those actions for them. Now, if you've been watching this video, you've probably noticed by now this, quote, art style. This game looks like they bought some Game Maker Studio generic assets or copy and pasted RPG Maker or something with the trees and the rocks. Crops look like icons, very little detail and no animation. Character models have a polygon count of something you'd see on Wii. And man, the overhead perspective is just wrong. The way the ground and items and houses are tilted and the tilt of the character models pretty much make them look like they're lying face down when they're looking north. In some of the zoomed in shots for cutscenes, you see the object really pixelized, like someone just hastily drew them one size in Photoshop and they were expanded and zoomed in for the game. Places don't have animation either, so when you move to the door part, it'll just go black for the transition. There may be 6 or 7 screens in the entire map, and I know it's petty, but when you leave the beach traveling west on an exit on the left side of the map, you come up on the lighthouse screen walking north from the bottom. That drove me nuts. Just make your map directions meet up when you're transitioning screens. Your action square that appears in front of you doesn't always reflect where your character was, and I often got stuck or dug something I didn't intend to because I assumed motion where there was none, thanks to the rock blocking my way, but that just takes some practice and adjustment to the bad angle. The game's sounds also leave a lot to be desired. That sound of water hitting the ground, which happens obviously a ton. And then when summer hits, that sound of cicadas was so grinding to where I almost turned off the audio completely. The thing about all these aesthetics though just goes to show, if you have solid enough gameplay mechanics, graphics really can not matter much. This isn't a situation of things glitching or not being able to tell what's what, it's a poor choice in art style. So, although things look really bad, personally still found this game pretty highly addictive, in that, alright, I'll just go one more day and then I'll go to bed kind of way. Overall, the game has quite a bit to keep you busy, even more so if you're interested in trying for 100%, even though a good deal of the objectives and quests are fairly shallow. The art style is very amateur looking, and the game has some obnoxious ambient sounds and music. It has a weird choice for multiplayer options, but tons of crops to experiment with, and a pretty easy to adapt to control scheme, minus some perspective issues. As always, please keep in mind all review scores are always subjective and relative to the viewer. While I did have fun with this game, there are plenty of places that I, as a player, personally felt it fell down. But it still managed to get that psychological hook in me to keep me coming back. Using my fantasy simulation rating scale, Harvest Moon Light of Hope ends up at a 38 out of 100 on my true 0 to 100 scale where 50 is just average. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching.